What would you do if you were given one chance in racing? Most people don't grow up in a family connected to racing, and by the time you're old enough to know what to ask for, the opportunity's already passed you by. This is Kenyan Washington. He's 15 years old, which may seem young, but he worries that the window of his racing career is already shutting. But he's wanted to be a race car driver ever since he was a little kid, to the point where he educated his family and got opportunities to race in junior go-karts all the way in Germany. After seeing plenty of success in racing against future F4 and F3 drivers, Kenyan is back in the States. But after coming back to the States at age 14, the well of racing dried up, and he has not sat behind the wheel for over a year. But even if he's just a kid, he still has the talent and the resume, but he only needs one more thing: a chance. And today, thanks to DriveSmart, Kenyan gets one more chance in a brand new type of racing and a brand new type of car. This is the story of Kenyan Washington's first ever oval race in the Legends car at the South Carolina 250 at Florence Motor Speed.
My name is Kenyan Washington. I'm 15 years old from Virginia, trying to get in my transition to car racing back in the United States.
Heading into the weekend, there were a lot of nerves, but also a lot of excitement just to be behind the wheel of any car. In Europe, Kenyan raced mostly with the no-shifting Rotax go-karts, and even the shifting go-karts are a lot different than the manual cars run in the Legends car. Starting slow and steady, Kenyan quickly learned that there were some things that he learned in go-karting which would carry over incredibly into what he was doing now. At the conclusion of practice, Kenyan found himself in 21st place on the board. With 20 people making the main show, he would need to pick up a little bit of pace to get there. But with qualifying coming up, he had a chance to do just that. Before qualifying came around though, a familiar face came to give him some advice.
All right, so we're here with Dell Jr., obviously. Still got the itch to keep coming out here, Florence race. What's giving you the itch to keep coming back here?
Well, I'm just, I think, short track grassroots racing is really fun. For me, at this point in my life, it's kind of low pressure. I know a lot of drivers that are here, especially the younger drivers, feel a lot of pressure when they're racing, but for me, it's kind of fun to come back now that I'm older, and I don't have to worry really about performance. It's kind of come and have fun, not really put too much pressure on yourself, and just enjoy kind of being back here. It ain't changed that much. It's still kind of the same style of racing. Cars are pretty much the same. The whole experience being here is just like it was back in the mid-90s when I was racing here every weekend.
Cool deal. We got an amazing paint scheme on that car. So we got a young driver, Kenyan Washington, making his first ever start with the Legends cars. Any advice you would give him making his first start here tonight?
Well, I think the one thing I always tell a driver that's running their first start in any series is there's really no pressure on performance. So don't have I want to finish top 10 or top 5. Don't set those goals, right? It's not about that. Nobody's expecting you to go out there and run up front or run in the top 10. It isn't about that on that first start. The first start is about running all of the laps. You can't do that if you're wrecked out or making a mistake. So make sure you're just going to run all the laps and experience driving the car. Learn every lap, learn every corner, and everybody says go out and have fun, but it's a lot of pressure on young drivers when they're running those first races. You're so nervous, it's really impossible to really try to enjoy the experience. Just do not set a personal goal in results. Go out there, finish the race, complete all the laps, get out of the car, have it, that way you've got information that you can take and go forward with to try to improve every time you get back in. When you set those goals of trying to finish a certain position, especially in that first race, you're kind of losing sight of the ultimate idea, and that's really just to show up and learn. Don't put any pressure on yourself with that kind of set those type of goals. Just go out there, run the laps, learn the car, learn how to communicate with your crew about what the car's doing. All of those things is what's really important this weekend. The end result, I promise you, I couldn't tell you where I finished in my first late model stock race. I couldn't tell you where I finished in my first Legends race. It does not matter. It doesn't matter. It didn't matter then. It doesn't matter today. You can set those type of goals as you get more experience and start to really understand your potential and start to really push yourself. So those first races, it's all about just getting out there and run all the laps.
Sounds like a cool deal. Thank you for your time, Dale. Nice to have you. Dale just gave the best advice, didn't he?
Yes, it was absolutely awesome. I mean, we just met Dale Jr.
Dale Jr. He's fanboying over here. But
yeah.
Anyway, 15-year-old kid. You're 15, right?
Mm-hmm.
So 15-year-old kid, Dale just gave him literally everything he needs to know that Dale spent all throughout the years in the Winston Cup Series, the Nextel Cup Series.
Yeah.
Man, it's so cool to see all of them years of learning go into one interview to give this kid all the advice that he needs. This is a 2-time Busch Series champion, and he just gave this kid at the very beginning of his career everything he needs to know. He said he didn't know where he finished in his first late model race. Just get out there, run the laps, get the experience. That's all you need to do. You ready for tonight?
Yeah, I'm so
Hyped up.
Tell me about your conversation with Dale Jr. What did you think about that? How cool was that?
Well, I was so starstruck. Like, I can't believe Dale Jr. just like talked to me for like that long, and I was like, it was just so shocking. Like, I probably was just like staring at him like the whole time. I couldn't even believe like he was just like sitting there talking to me. But everything he told me was just so true. Like, I feel like him is like a NASCAR, like multi-time NASCAR winner, and he's done so many great things in the sport. And for him to say that he doesn't even remember his first race just shows how like experience and everything, and how a career as great as his can really show that it doesn't even matter how you start, it just matters how you finish and carry out your career. So it really made me feel a lot better.
With that once-in-a-lifetime opportunity behind him, it was now time to put Kenyan's car back on the track for qualifying. And the tips, it seemed to work because Kenyan picked up speed, but unfortunately it was only good enough for 16th place in qualifying. With the top 15 transferring straight to the A main, that would mean Kenyan would have to race through the B main, but he would be on the pole. It was at this point that the reality of the race finally set in. This was Kenyan's chance, and he really wanted to show off and make the A main if he wanted to prove to people that he deserved another opportunity. Starting in the first position for the B main was a great way to show that he could win a race. And so, the race began. After sliding back a few positions early, Kenyan found himself in a late restart in 7th position when, unfortunately, a wreck in front of him found himself caught up and into the inside wall. That was it for his race and the weekend, unfortunately, but everything that Kenyan learned made him very confident that he could go back and do it again even better. Sometimes, stories don't work out the same way in real life that they do in movies, but I can't imagine somebody going from go-karts to oval racing and immediately setting the world on fire. Kenyan showed steady improvement throughout the weekend and a willingness to learn and adapt to the conditions, and I think that he can come back and become an amazing oval driver with more experience. But of course, that experience is hard to come by. So for that, we will see if Kenyan will return with DriveSmart for another episode. So what are the plans from here on out? Where is the next time we'll see you on the track?
So this year, well, 2024, I would love to be racing just more races, whether that's a late model, legend car, dirt. Honestly, anything for me, seat time is just what I need as a driver. Like, I'm really interested in legend cars and late models. Like, I think the late model racing looks so much fun, and I think there's a lot of experience there for the short track races and everything, especially for me to get used to oval racing. I think late model racing would be a really big learning tool for me, especially because I feel like I learn better with more experienced driver. With seat time, I think it will help me be more consistent on the racetrack, and not for me, when I started the race at Florence, I was really learning how to be able to drive in the car. If I know how to drive the car already and then go in the race weekend, just knowing how to practice on the racetrack and stuff, I would be way faster. And I went that weekend, we had top 15 speed. So I mean, if I just had like more experience and everything, who knows, we could have been competing for a top 5 and top 10, or maybe even the win. So you never know.
If you could tell yourself at the beginning of the weekend one thing right now that would help you immensely throughout the weekend, what would that one thing be?
I would just say, just have fun and don't stress. Like, I had a lot of fun, and I didn't really stress. Honestly, I was just so excited to just be back at the racetrack. Like, before that point, I haven't raced in almost a year and a half, which is so crazy to me to even say that right now. So, just to enjoy the moment and be glad that I was there. And I think for me, as far as on the racetrack, I would just say, like, just don't be afraid. I was just being cautious and everything. I probably could have pushed a little more. I was one position short of making the A main on speed. So we were there. Like, they knew we were there. So that's all that I was most worried about.
Yeah, sometimes those guys, they smell blood in the water. You take a corner just a little bit easy, they're like, oh. All right, well, anything else, anyone else you want to shout out? Anything else you want to say that you want to include in the video?
You guys can go follow me on my social media, on my Instagram, Karting with Ken, or you can find it as my name, Kenyan Washington, and my Facebook as well, and my Twitter. I'm getting more active on my social media again, so 2024 is going to be a big year. Like, I'm working really hard to just be at the racetrack more, so it will happen. So I'm confident. So.
And once again, thank you to Drive Smart for their dedication to the grassroots community racing and being able to take a risk on somebody with such a unique story as Kenyan. I'm sure we will see him back to race again.